Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti. Religion is the effort that we put in to get back to the self. That he divides into two. One is positive, another one is negative. A point is positive, a point is negative with reference to. Without that reference point, we will not be able to define in mathematics a point to be positive or negative. Similarly, religion to be positive or negative, we need a reference point. That reference point is what he classifies. If you keep the reference point as self-development culminating in self-realization, then that is positive. If you are going to be keeping anything other than this, that is negative. So that's how we have these two, positive religion and negative religion. Any effort produces two types of result, two types of effect. One is the Mukhya Phala, we call as. Another one is referred as Avantara Phala, incidental. Mukhya Phala is the main one. You go to a temple. What is the Mukhya Phala? Fortunately, nobody is there. So I can define it. Otherwise, we'll get different answers from people. A person comes back from Tirupati, you don't ask him how was the darshan. Yes, laddu. See, the Mukhya Phala is the main one. Is when you go to a temple, you have the darshan of the Lord. That is the main one. Incidentally, you can have the laddu. If you are very lucky, you will get vada also. That is Avantara Phala. If you keep to this is called positive religion. If you keep it the other way around, Mukhya Phala is laddu. Incidentally, I have the version of Balaji also. Then it is called negative religion. For everything that we do in life, there are two aspects. One is the main, another one is ancillary. The effects are two. Main product and a byproduct. You don't put up a factory to produce a byproduct. Same way, you don't take to this path of religion, that effort that you put in. So don't take it as religion to be a path by itself. It is to be taken as the effort you put in. Take religion as action verb. Don't take it as noun. See, take religion as verb, where it is the effort. What you do will define. What you do being the same, based on the intended purpose with which you do, there he classifies that into two. In that, he says, those who are taking it for this sake of realization or towards realization, first let me develop. That's what he is giving here. This is the first thing that is required, is that rehabilitation of inner personality. So before I go to that, first let me refine my personality. So keeping that as the main, when you do, it is positive. Instead of that, we take this mundane, materialistic aspects, going to religion for peace, for solace, or going to religion for health, or going to religion for satisfying our curiosity. Some curiosity we have. So everything like this, if you are going to be keeping, then it is negative. So you take to this, there are three basic types. Like Krishna gives in the Gita, 7th chapter, he gives, there are 4 types of worshippers. Of that, the 4th one is the right one. Jnani is the one who is taking to positive religion. The first 3, Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, says. Artha means the person who is suffering from agitation. That is one category. Another category is interested in Artha, wealth. The one who is a seeker of wealth, worshipper of wealth. Then the third category he gives is Jignasu, who is having this intellectual curiosity. So those 3 types of people take to religion. That religion is called negative religion. There are 3 aspects. But essentially, religion is meant for what? It is meant to reconstitute your personality, reorient yourself. The personal reorientation is what the main purpose of religion. Instead of taking that and use that as a guide to go inside, take to that inner journey. People use that to go out. It defeats the very purpose for which it is created. That is the abuse. Yes. What is the abuse of religion? Negative religion is the abuse of religion. And what is the use of religion? Is the positive. Religion is the use of religion. So seeking wealth, seeking peace, solace, and seeking to satisfy their curiosity. These 3 were practicing the negative religion. Then he moves to another idea. There is another way in which also the practices which are done, that is also included in negative. The 2 practices he gives. One, the yoga asanas, physical exercises, and meditation. So taking up these 2 practices, meaning taking up these 2 practices the way we are practicing today. The way we take it up is negative. Like the way we practice karma yoga, the way we practice bhakti, the way we take to knowledge, that is negative. Similarly, The way we are practicing today, yogasanas and meditation, this is negative. Now he is explaining how he is, what is the way we are doing it, and why he calls it as negative. This is what he is explaining next. So in this topic, we have these two basic points. One, the practice of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, minus the main idea, it is negative religion. Then two is these practices, the practices of yoga and meditation. Yes.
Page 268, last paragraph. These two faddish practices are simple and easy for teachers to communicate and masses to follow. That makes them even more popular. In sheer ignorance, people take to these practices through hereditary or peer pressure. They lack the intellect to steer themselves away from these pressures and observe a disciplined, methodic procedure for their spiritual evolution. Yoga has a worldwide market today. It has been reduced to mere asanas, physical postures, and pranayama, breathing techniques. These are good exercises which tune up the physical body, no more. But people are led to believe that they are mystical, divine, and the ignorant have accepted yogasanas and pranayama as a spiritual course. This spiritual merchandise has earned the promoters wealth, name, and fame, while leaving the followers in confusion and chaos. Yoga exercises are gross. They can no doubt shape the gross body, but not the subtle body. The subtle body consists of the mind and intellect. You could build your physical structure through asanas and pranayama, but in no way develop your inner personality. The gross can never control the subtle. It is the law. The second fad sweeping the human race is meditation. Meditation has become the best seller in the world today. Self-appointed religious heads are hawking meditation like Swiss watches and Japanese cars. It has turned into a multi-million-dollar business. The innocent masses do not know what they are buying. They are swept away by publicity campaign, unaware of the adverse results that meditation can bring about to ill-prepared minds cluttered with desires. Meditation is specialized training carefully administered to advanced spiritual practitioners. Yet, millions flock to meditation halls without a clue of what it is and the consequence it leads them to. A simple reason for its mass appeal is the initial solace it gives to a novice. It is usually people suffering from stress and strain that take to meditation. A mind with considerable mental agitation is suddenly brought to the thought of divinity. The mind experiences a certain solace, a temporary feeling of peace, which is comforting. As a result, one is led to believe that meditation can directly bring about peace and bliss. Therefore, the practitioner plunges into it more seriously and finds himself losing his mental equilibrium. He gradually becomes more agitated, frustrated in life. Few realize where the mistake lies. Some believe that they are not putting in adequate effort. They even try harder and cause themselves greater harm. The instant effect of peace caused by meditation can be explained from a common phenomenon experienced by people. A metropolitan businessman is generally infested with worry and anxiety. His mind is agitated, with no peace and harmony. He spends sleepless nights in his luxurious mansion. On one rare occasion, he joins his family for a picnic to the woods. The wife is organizing a meal. The children are chasing butterflies. The man rests his head on the protruding root of a tree and falls off to sleep. The very same man who could not sleep on the cushioned mattress in his air-conditioned bedroom. The reason for this phenomenon is that the environment lends a temporary charm to the disturbed mind. But the effect of the environmental peace does not last long. If, however, he repeats his visits to the same place, he will lose that temporary influence. He will sleep no more. On the contrary, his mind becomes more agitated, frustrated without the luxury of his home. The effect of meditation on a beginner is just the same. A mind congested with thoughts and desires, worries and anxieties, is drawn to one line of thought. It is removed from the congestion of thoughts for those moments. It experiences a temporary peace. This practice thus lends the charm to an agitated mind. That feeling is lost with repeated attempts at meditation. Some understand its futility and drop the practice, but the ignoramuses are led to believe that the instant relief is a permanent transformation of their personality. They pursue doggedly only to be disappointed and frustrated in their lives. Thus, the general trend everywhere is to abuse religion, rather than use it for the redemption of humanity. The unauthentic, superstitious practices in the name of religion have taken root because of the temporary solace they produce. People seem content with the ephemeral effects of religion. They do not realize, with the effect wearing away, their old nature of stress and strain returns. This resembles a strange phenomenon which occurs in the Himalayan ranges year after year. In winter, when it is biting cold, snakes become cold-stricken. A snake lies coiled as if lifeless. For all purpose, it appears dead. People handle it as a rope. The same snake, with a little warmth, stretches itself. It regains its nature. Similarly, the wrong ways of religion may subdue the desires and ego for a while. But the moment the environment and situation turns conducive, the self-same desires and ego rise again to the surface. Hence, the true spiritual way of life is to exterminate the desires, not just subdue them. An extermination of desires alone unveils the supreme self.
These two practices, the practice of yogasanas and coupled with pranayama, and the practice of meditation, these are the in thing today. And conveniently, we have segregated these two in two ways. One group of people started putting this, so this is not religion at all. This is to do with spirituality. So now we have this, new thing. Now we have created one new division here. These are all spiritual things. This is not, part of religion at all. It was not, to some extent, yes, they are correct. But there's a fundamental error in there also. Same way. Another group started using these things as this is the core. This is the essential one. This is another way of presenting it. Therefore, it has gained tremendous popularity today. Everywhere you see this yogasanas and this. And yoga today, the word itself has become, yoga means only the asanas. The practice of asanas is what is referred today as yoga. Actually, it is not yoga. It is to be, strictly speaking, we should be calling it as asanas only. And then pranayama. Say yoga and pranayama. Strictly speaking, they don't say this is to be called as even pranayama. You're supposed to be calling this as swasayama. Because only swasa you are controlling. You are working with reference to your breathing. You say that is not to be called as this also. But these words have a better appeal. Therefore, this became more popular. Asana, yoga and pranayama for asanas and swasayama. Instead of using asanas, because if you say, I am teaching asana, you say what? Teaching asana. Asanas means what? Asanas means posture. That's all. Asana means a sitting posture. That's all. Oh, that doesn't, give any. There's no punch in the word, you see. So yoga has a better punch. So whoever is teaching asanas have started calling themselves as yoga teachers. See, it's not yoga. This is we call as asana. In asana, the problem is what immediately you will ask, sir, what is asana? Asana is simply nothing but, this is what Patanjali gives. The definition for asana. What is asana? Stiram Sukham Asanam, he says. All that is required, asana, is it should be firm. Your sitting should be firm and it should be comfortable for you. It should be pleasant for you. That's all asana is. Like if you, when you sit, right now, I assume most of you are sitting, right? If you just observe right now, you will never be sitting with your both sides equally having pressure. You have either one side will be more, giving more pressure, the other side will be light. When you sit like this, it is not going to be comfortable. You can never be having that firmness in the seat. So Patanjali says asana is only that much. There's nothing more than that. Subsequently came in all this, so many authors and so many masters, so many people have started working on producing very many postures, different exercises. That's what he says. This is asanas are nothing but physical exercises. There are very many ways of exercising. Aerobics is a form of exercise. Gymnasium is a form of an exercise. Each culture had their own form of exercise. And we can say, yes, of all those exercises, this is the best one. We can claim because it is ours. You see, it's like saying, my mother's sambar is the best sambar in the world. That's all. It is exactly like that. Oh. So it's just an exercise. It's a physical exercise. You mean to say that we should not do this physical exercise? No. Vedanta is not against physical exercise. But all that he is saying is doing that is not to be taken as anything religious, anything spiritual. Do it. But don't call it as spiritual. Don't call it as something mystical. Don't call it as something religious practice. It's like a person who goes to a gymnasium and comes back. He just says, I've exercised, I've got my body trim. He can flex his muscles and show. Correct. More than that, he doesn't feel that he has started working on his thoughts, he started working on his emotions, his personality has started developing, he started growing spiritually, he started experiencing some, powers, none of those things. But only here we find people who practice these things suddenly start telling you So many things happening. Now, and then they say this posture, that posture, Mayurasana, this asana, that asana, and all those things has got nothing to do with Patanjali. Because Patanjali doesn't explain all those things. Patanjali says only asana should be what? Means it should be firm. Your sitting should be firm. And it should be relaxing, comfortable. Why it should be like that? Because if you have to perform any of the spiritual disciplines, the religious disciplines which are karma, bhakti or jnanam, you have to study, you have to do puja, or you have to do certain rituals and karma, all those things. You need to be having that basic fitness, your ability to sit through, your ability to do that action. To perform that action, you need the frame. It's like a painter, for him to paint, he needs a canvas. Without a canvas, can you paint? Of course, you cannot. But canvas is not going to be defining the beauty of the painting. Because the canvas is so perfect, so fantastic, doesn't mean the painting. The painter's skill of painting has got nothing to do with the canvas. It's not dependent on canvas. Your learning of painting is not dependent on having a perfect canvas. But any painting to do, you need a canvas. Without a canvas, can you do a painting? Not possible. That is what he says. Now, these people taking to this asanas and pranayama, all this, they believe doing that itself is giving them some edification, some growth. All your growth, all your evolution, development, all that happens because of what? Because of this. He says there is no connection between the two. Working on your body is not going to be helping you to work on your subtle body, which consists of your mind and intellect. Working on that mind and intellect is the starting point of religion. Religion starts from that. That is what we have seen. Individual diagnosis. That topic we saw. How do you diagnose a person? In that diagnosis, we did not take into consideration what is the age of that body, how old that person is he tall or short, is he having this or that? No, those things we have not considered. We straight away started moving and looking into what is the relative strength between mind and intellect, is emotions and thinking. How good your emotions are. Emotions in the sense we don't take into consideration emotions like jealousy, emotions like anger and all that. That doesn't define the strength of your mind. Your mind, when we say here, we are referring to how much you are able to entertain emotions which are noble, finer emotions. That defines your strength of mind. Strength of mind we don't consider here as, we have seen that earlier. So it's not because of the strength here is not to be taken as the strength of your desires, likes and dislikes and all that. Here we take the strength means the strength of your mind. Mind, which aspect of mind? Emotion. The capacity to feel. Your capacity to think. Your capacity to reason. Your reasoning ability, full stop. We have not taken into consideration how much knowledgeable you are. See, so relative strength of mind and intellect is where we start, and then make it more and more, refine it, further refinement. further refinement, pitching up a higher one, the highest being self-realization. Now, if you cannot, then we said, okay, take a step below that, take a step below that, take a step below that. At any point of time, what is the ideal going to be? Ideal is something that you pitch up above your level. Meaning, right now I'm able to have this much, then where I can identify next level. So that is what we have taken. So in religion, starting itself is mind and intellect. Here we don't take the perfection of your body. How perfect your body is not going to be the defining factor. Now, are we going to take it as a irrelevant factor? So if body is not a deciding factor, or does Vedanta say, is it irrelevant factor? Like in some words in English, they spell and they add few letters and say that is silent. See, when you pronounce, it is silent, we say. It's not like that. You can't call it as irrelevant also, nor can you call it as defining one. It is neither defining nor irrelevant. Now, negative religion is when you take this as a defining factor and practicing it. Then what is positive religion? The one who, the person who is going to positive religion, will he not practice asanas? Meaning, will he not do any physical exercise? You mean to say he will not take care of his body? Will he not want all these things? Of course, he will also do in his own ways. Then how he will be practicing that, sir? He will practice that as a contributory factor. That's about it. It is not a deciding factor, nor he takes this as a irrelevant factor. He takes it as, yes, this is also conducive. He takes, if I have a fit body, it is conducive. Conducive for what? Conducive for me to perform more karma yoga. I can do more selfless work, more of bhakti, more I can sit through, more I can study, more we can concentrate. It is convenient. If I have that fit body, it is convenient. So asanas practice is given for what? It is given to keep the body in an alert, at the same time in a relaxed state. What we know today is the moment you relax the body, you go off to sleep. Right? And then if you have to become alert, then you find the body in an agitated state. Alertness coupled with relaxed state, to have that training is what this asanas practices. To train that body to be in a state of alertness, also in a state of relaxation. That is what Patanjali says as Sthiram Sukham Asanam says. So all the asanas practices, yogasana practices is meant for what? Yogasanas, when you say, including pranayama also. All these various techniques that we have developed subsequently. See, Yoga Sutra doesn't give all that. It is a subsequent followers have develop so many things, so many ways of breathing patterns. You do this breathing pattern for this cycle, that cycle, all this practices that we have developed today. All this is for what? To keep this body in a state of alertness and relaxation, which is required for you to practice what? Practice the spiritual disciplines, which is nothing but karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. For that, if you do, it is positive religion. You practice these things without that reference point, then he says that is negative. Now, how many of us do exercise today to be fit so that I can serve more? You say, I want to go to, I do exercise. Why? I don't want to be a burden for others. As though it's a great value. Catch hold of a person, ask him, why are you exercising? So that I will look slim and trim. Another person, you would not find a person who says, I am practicing these exercises for the sake of refining my emotions or reducing my desires or my capacity to study, learn gets more. My ability to sit through a session for a longer period of time. I had a teacher in school, he won't even allow us to nod his head in the class. If we nod our head, he will throw a chalk piece. Say, what are you doing? I used to wonder, I'm only nodding my head. No, what is your issue on that? For him in the class, all of us should be sitting so still, like statues we should be. He won't even allow us to take down the answers also. He'll write in the board, but we cannot even make a note of it. We have to keep looking at him till he says, now you can take down. Won't even allow. Why? I don't know whether he understood and he did it or not. But one thing is for sure. At any moment, if you see, you keep shifting your posture. At any point when you shift your posture, why do you shift? Because the mind starts registering a pain in that previous posture, in that angle. So what it goes exactly to the opposite side. So you tilt this side or you tilt this side, and you have to keep making that movement. It is a disturbance for a concentrated work, such as the effort you put in to grow, to contemplate, to do any subtler work. Even a slight movement becomes a disturbance. So let the body be in perfect condition so that it will not come and disturb you at that point. Because you put in so much of effort and you have reached that point of peak of concentration. At that time, your pain in the body cannot be coming and disturbing you. For that, this practice were developed. But this practices by itself is nothing to do with spiritual. Isn't it? Passing, you're preparing for exam, CAT. has got nothing to do with you coming out of I am, isn't it? This is totally different. But this helps you to get into it. Similarly, this practice aids you, it helps, it supports. Don't dismiss it. He is not saying not to do it. Remember, that is not what he is saying. He is not saying, that is why he puts first positive religion. And then he explains negative religion. Because he is not against these practices of karma, or he's not against bhakti, he is not against knowledge and all that. Remember, he's not. The way in which we are approaching to it is wrong, he says. The way in which we are approaching it today, one. And another aspect is the way in which it is getting promoted also like that. The practice of pranayama and the person who is teaching pranayama is taken as a religious head, spiritual teacher, isn't it? The person who is teaching asanas becomes a spiritual head, becomes a religious head. Now, that is why he says, see, by itself is not going to do anything. It's only physical exercise. Same way, the other extreme. This is one extreme. Another extreme is before you even complete your university, complete your UG, the person says, I'm going to go for internship. Why? Finally, you have to do internship. No. Finally, we have to work for 1 year in hospital. So let me do that first. Will we allow that? Meditation is like that. Meditation is the last one we do. And today what is happening? He says, today we have taken this meditation to be practicing by everyone. It is taught to, it is practiced by many, and it is promoted and taught. And he says, why that is taught so popular, why that has a tremendous market value. Today, there is no big market value for rituals, isn't it? There is a big market value for ritual. There's no big market value for ritual. Nor there is any big market value for devotion and all that. No, it's not a big market for that. Not to talk about knowledge. But there is a tremendous market for meditation. Of course, yoga also has a tremendous market. One is in this extreme, another one is in that extreme. Those two extreme practices have gained tremendous market value. He is explaining why there is a market value for meditation. See, meditation is you deliberately focus on a point. That is called meditation. You choose a point and you keep that focus on that one point. See, that is called meditation. Now, the condition of the mind, he says, is oscillating, agitated mind, disturbed. A disturbed mind, we are asking that mind to take a point and deliberately have that focus. Don't move out of that point. First of all, is it possible? Is it possible to do that? The oscillating mind cannot be focusing. And if that oscillation is too much, it is all the more difficult. When it is disturbed so much there, how is it possible for that mind to meditate? It is not possible. Yet there is a great market. Market for a product is possible only when people see some value in it. People see some value in it, the product becomes popular. That's what he's explaining, how it has become so popular. How when your mind is disturbed, you give that mind a point. Suddenly you bring it to a point of concentration. That sheer suddenness gives it a sense of calmness, sense of relief from that agitation, from that disturbance. Therefore, they think what? It is a simple logic. Before having the chocolate, agitation. After eating the chocolate, no agitation. Therefore, chocolate eating the chocolate gives relief from agitation. It is a simple equation. So the Shastras, they give a beautiful example of a dog who saw a bone and he started chewing that bone. When he started chewing that bone, the bone cracked and the sharp edges of the bone started poking the gums and the dog started bleeding. When it started bleeding, it had the same logic of what? It started experiencing juice, warm juice. It started tasting, and the dog was so thirsty, and it got such a fantastic one. So the dog started thinking what? The juice is coming from the bone. And it started chewing the bone more. More it started chewing the bone, what happened? More it poked, more bleeding. Thereby what happened? More joy, more blood, more pleasant. It started chewing much more. After 5 minutes, what happened? I don't have to tell you what happened to the dog for another 10 days. Another 10 days, the fellow could not eat anything. He has to starve for the next 10 days. Why? Because of that. But his logic was what? Perfect it is. Before bone, no warm juice. After bone, warm juice. Therefore, warm juice source is what? This is the same logic you will find with all these people. Before going for that meditation class, agitation. I sat for meditation. I was so happy. Therefore, what? Do more. Do more. What happens there is they lose that, and subsequently, along with losing that initial peace that they've experienced, they lose their mental equilibrium itself. This ill-prepared mind practicing meditation, final consequence is what? Finally, what is happening to those people is this. But that takes a period. There's a time gap. Since there is a time gap, we don't have that patience, or we don't have the capacity to connect. Therefore, what we have started doing, I did first day. First day is it, next day. After that, what happened? That's why he gives the example of the businessman. Now imagine every time he wants to sleep, he goes to that same tree and says, I had a good sleep in the tree. Therefore, what I'm going to do? Shift my house there. Sell his house in the city, buy that farm, and go and sit there. Then what happens? First day there is, but after a point, they lose that also. And then why it is sold out? Because there is that instant peace, that instant solace that they get. Instantly they experience something when you do it. Or initially you get it. What is saving the majority is, by this logic, Ishwaran, by now, so many people should have, gone off. Because so many have been, claiming to have practice. It's not happening to them. Why it is not happening to them? Because it is their tamas that saves. You don't practice it consistently. Since you are not practicing it consistently, it saves you. You don't see this effect happening. It is gradually they get more and more agitated, frustrated, and lose their mental equilibrium. That doesn't happen to many. Why it is not happening to many? Because you don't do it for a longer period of time. Your inconsistency protects, saves. But if you do that, where it is going to land you? It will land you in that point. Why this happens? There is a difference between the ill-prepared mind sitting for meditation, experiencing that state of stillness is totally different from the stillness that can be experienced by a matured mind, a developed individual sitting. He also sees, they also sees. There is a difference. What is the difference? The difference is exactly like your normal sleep versus hypnotic state. When you normally sleep, that hypnotic sleep is there. Person can be hypnotized and put to sleep. In the hypnotic state, also there is a sleep. And in normal also, you go to sleep. This is also sleep. That is also sleep. What is the difference? Hypnotic sleep and normal sleep. Both are sleep only. One is natural. Another one is induced, correct. This is one difference. One is natural. Another one is induced one. But then to your personality, there is a difference. In normal sleep, you are asleep to the whole world. In hypnotic sleep, you are asleep to the whole world, but you are awake to the hypnotist's voice. You see the difference. Basic difference is this. First one is, in normal sleep, people are walking around, you are there making sound, there is a TV, there is a children playing, all that will be happening around you, but you are fast asleep. Right? You don't hear any one of those things. You are off to the entire world. In that hypnotic sleep, you are off to the world except the voice. Only then he can wake you up. Otherwise, he can't wake you up. If you are off to his voice also means finished. You will be permanently. That's called a coma. See. Now, this is not like that. In this condition, there is a problem. What is the problem in this? When you wake up from normal sleep, the experiences, the things that you have, the visions that you have had, that understanding that you have had, all those things you will remember and you will call them and dismiss them as dream. You will be able to distinguish between the dream experience of yours and waking experience of yours. You see that? When you come back, when you wake up from that sleep, you can clearly say, this is sleep experience, this is waking experience. But when you wake up from this self-hypnotized meditative sleep, you will not be able to distinguish between the waking experience and that experience. You would start ascribing, attributing more reality to that experience versus your waking experience. In sleep, when you wake up, you immediately dismiss that experience as dream, not real. Whatever that experience could be, you could have had any experience there. You will dismiss that, saying what? It is a dream experience. You will not be validating that. You will not be judging. You will not be relating. You will not be functioning in the waking state, keeping that as a reference. Whereas, when you wake up from this sleep, this is where this mind loses its equilibrium. What causes that is, there is a chaos, there is a confusion. What is a confusion for the mind? Slowly, the mind starts validating whatever happened there to be more real than the waking one. Now, which is real? For a person, this is what happened to kids, Sometimes the kids wake up and they can't distinguish, between sleep experience and real experience. Why they were not able to distinguish? Because the equipment which is supposed to be doing the job is asleep. What is that? Buddhi. Intellect is asleep. Now, what does the hypnotist does is he puts your intellect asleep and he creates. In meditative sleep, what are you doing? Instead of a hypnotist doing it, you do it yourself. Thereby, what happens? Your ability to discriminate, your discriminative ability is lost. As a result, something will happen there. It is like what will happen, God only knows. Something you will experience there. Something you will hear, something you will see, because all that is suppressed will start coming out. All the suppressed things will start coming out, when it starts coming out, it's not going to coming out in any coherence or anything. It just keeps coming out, shooting out. And then you cannot distinguish and say, sir, that's just a dream. You would start giving it a validity. And you would start treating that experience as equal, valid, real as you're waking. If you continue, you will start valuing that more real than your waking. And that's the danger, he says. Slowly, what will happen? You will start losing your connection. You will start losing your grounding. You should get a proper grounding in your personality first. The grounding is what? This is God. This is what Krishna says in the Gita. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. Once the buddhi is gone, completely gone. In this, you see, you lose that. Therefore, what will happen? But initially, you will experience it. That initial experience of that peace, that sudden stillness, gives little relief. That relief is the caching point. And people encash it. And they start distributing. And then over a period of time, this is what happens. So what is this problem? He is not Mark. He is not against meditation. Remember, he has already spent one full chapter explaining meditation. What is the value of it? How you are supposed to practice? What is the principle? What is the technique? How you have to prepare? All that he has explained. It's not that he's against it. He's against the practice of meditation by the ill-prepared minds. What is an ill-prepared mind? The mind which is not inspired by the idea of liberation, moksha, realization. That mind cannot be practicing meditation. So for you to get that inspiration, you have to prepare your personality. That preparation is what is given in this practice of karma, bhakti, jnana. So the practice of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga prepares the ground. A well-prepared ground, well-prepared personality, mature personality necessarily will have an inspiration towards realization. An immature personality will never get inspired with the idea of this. A developed personality, rehabilitated personality, they all mean the same thing. See, so those who do this practices of asanas, one extreme, and another extreme is the practice of meditation. So asanas practices for keeping the body healthy and well prepared. And meditation is for the matured minds, mature personality. So he says these two practices of asanas and meditation is also being practiced with wrong timing, because he has already mentioned religion should be practiced in a systematic manner. Systematic manner means school, first standard, second standard, third standard, then come to your high school, then university, then masters, then go for PhD. This is the order. This is called systematic study. What is to be studied first should be studied first. What is to be studied third should be studied third standard. What is to be studied in 12th should be studied in 12th. We cannot be changing that. So practicing meditation in the beginning is like studying PhD syllabus in first standard. In first standard, you cannot do that. You should not do it. And if you see, the kids will be interested only in those books. The kids will not be interested in their textbooks. They will always be interested in reading other things. In the higher things only they'll be interested. But these practices will damage. So practice of asanas will not help you to grow, and the practice of meditation will damage your personality. Therefore, these two things practicing is also bracketed as negative religion. We'll see more in the next class.